Ja, Good evening, everyone. A big welcome to everyone this evening. Let's get all our cameras turned on and have a quick chat. Romi, Shavuot Tov.
Shavuot Tov, how are you?
I'm actually fantastic. A little worried. So my speaker is doing weird things. All right, hopefully that will work.
Hi, Romi.
Hello, Kim.
Hello, hi, Sharon.
Hello.
Like a little reunion. It's the best.
This is the esteemed panel. I'm like privileged.
Oh, no, we are.
Absolutely. Guys, you're all so nice.
You included in the panel, Dina.
I'm just an elf. How is everyone? Shabbos?
All good.
All
Right.
good.
Yeah, lovely.
Guys, winter has arrived. I feel like the wind has changed.
It has.
Indeed. So yeah, we can actually, the next one we can do winter warmers.
Oh, soup. Yes.
Exactly. Oh, I went to go get my cookbook and now I forgot it. Sorry.
Did you go get this cookbook? Because we're giving away cookbooks tonight.
We are indeed.
How amazing. If people join our patron campaign tonight, we're going to give them a cookbook. How remarkable is that?
Wonderful.
It's actually the most beautiful book.
It's absolutely spectacular, really spectacular.
Yeah, it is.
So, Romi, before my microphone disappeared on me, we were talking about Shabbos and
Yes.
and the fact that it looks like third wave may be starting. So it may be a good time to spend more time indoors and cook some decent meals for our families.
Yes.
What did you make this Shabbos?
This Shabbos, I made, what did we start with? It was just me and Dave and the kids. And I made my granny's brisket and a salad and roast potatoes. And I made for breakfast a chocolate babka. I made
Do something. Talking about chocolate babka. Last week, she made, I was fascinated, a meat babka. I've never seen that in my life.
Yeah.
What she made? What, a meat babka?
Yeah.
With what did you put inside it?
So instead of putting like chocolate or cinnamon and sugar, I put in brisket.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, clog. Sharon, you're the butcher's wife.
Yes.
What do you think of that?
I think it's wonderful. It almost sounds like that deli roll.
Deli roll. I always make the deli roll. So I always make babka with my leftover dough and I deliver them on a Friday. Like yesterday, I delivered a babka to a friend who's had COVID and so another friend. So I always have dough left over from my challahs. So I did a meat one last week and we had it as a starter.
Kim, were you raising your hand because you want to be on the delivery list or because or you want the recipe?
Has to move. She's not close enough to Lovo.
I want to be on that delivery list, Romi. You're so generous and you're so kind in sharing all your recipes, but sometimes none of us look like yours do.
Oh no, I will definitely. Our kids are very good friends. So
when they come over for a play date, you send over one of your meat babkas.
So Howard, I sent over food for Romi, who just so happened to be having a Shabbos shlof, and her son mowed it down before she could even get to it. So I think I'm going to have to do the second round.
You're joking. When was this?
Well, you never knew about it because he mowed it down.
This is the first I hear of it. What happened?
He mowed it down.
I didn't even know.
I want you all to know the offer that came from Lauren Boolkin, who said she's going to have so much salmon left over after tonight. I must please come over after our broadcast and eat some of the salmon. I want to know from Sharon, if a member of your family came to you and said they've decided to go vegan, do you disown them completely?
Completely. No, I have actually, my sister-in-law is vegetarian, but I've tried to coax her into eating a little bit of fish and some chicken soup. Because that to me is the basis of everything. Anybody who's sick, chicken soup.
Chicken soup. Now, Dina Diamond, you are the mother of teenage girls.
I am indeed, yes.
Are they all vegetarian?
No, so one of them is actually vegetarian, which I actually don't understand because we're a KOC family, which is keen on cow. So I don't understand where this child comes from. So yes, my 13-year-old has decided that she is now meat-free, vegetarian. So to try and actually give every single person their own meal every night has been our biggest challenge. Because like, what do you, I mean, if you've been brought up like that, what do you feed your children? You naturally think, I mean, as my brother used to say, a chicken truck used to follow us on holiday because we had so what else is such a staple?
This week I went to go look for carpets, and I was quite keen to get one of those cowhide things that you put on the floor. And I discovered you can get vegan cowhides.
Yes, at Halachic, the most gorgeous ones.
And they printed, and there's no animal died for you to walk on.
Yes, because Ella was having a heart attack.
Is Ella vegetarian?
No, but she's very animal conscious. And the ones that from Halachic are magnificent, and they feel real, and yeah.
Really? Does it have the hair and everything? Like the fur?
Everything, even that line down the middle. And they're soft and divine, and yeah.
I won't even wear my mother's mink that she's going to throw out at some stage. I refuse.
But you know what I say, Kim? I know there's a whole controversy around the minks, right? But that mink died a long time ago.
Oh.
No, unacceptable.
Blood on your body, no.
It's like saying I have rhino horn from a rhino that was poached last year.
Exactly.
It's not true. If it died of natural causes.
So
I think that's a legitimate thing, and maybe we should have a webinar on it. If, for example, Kruger Park, as they do, have a lot of elephant ivory, do you sell it or do you keep it?
It's an interesting question, actually. And all the grandmothers had their fur coats. All of them had those long minks and stuff. And I can tell you that in New York, in London, in Europe, people wear their fur coats.
Listen, after COVID, I think they want the smell of those mothballs. You know that smell that the bobber used to come give her chocolate?
That wonderful.
Become those people that smell like mothballs.
Kim, before you go out in public again, we'll stick you in the shower, we'll hose you down, you'll come out maybe not smelling of mothballs. You make the
chocolate.
You make the most remarkable cakes. What's the most remarkable cake you've ever made?
What's the most remarkable? There've been a few. I mean, I think I did that Lion King one, which really stuck out. I've done a hamburger. I've done all the realistic stuff has been like, wow. I did for my kids their birthdays. I mean, I don't know. I pulled it out the bag and did all sorts of real life situations. And it challenges me, I suppose, because no one really would order that ordinarily because it becomes quite expensive. So I have to do it in-house.
You did for me an amazing cake which had a vaccine syringe coming in, and we're going to start vaccinating the over 60-year-olds in just over a week, in about 10 days' time. Maybe we should do another vaccine cake to celebrate the...
Great idea. I'm in.
We're in. Now, Dina, this story's for you. I was one day sitting in a lounge at JFK about to board a flight back to South Africa, and someone said to me, "There's Kate Moss." And I said, no. You've got it wrong. that's a man. Kate Moss is this really thin woman. And they said, not Kate Moss, Cake Boss. and I said, I'm sorry, but who on earth is Cake Boss? And they had to explain. So I, of course, walked over to him and introduced myself. And I said, I'm sorry, I have no idea who you are, but I understand you're really famous. Can we have a selfie together? And it turns out we sat next to each other for the 18 hours flight back from New York to Johannesburg. And we chatted for a good 17 hours of those 18 hours.
I love him.
Oh, wait, I love him. He's the best.
I love him.
The master. And how many of those hours did you speak, and how many hours did you speak?
No, we discussed he's doing cakes for Oprah, and he did a massive transformer cake. And what's that little old lady from the Golden Girls, the mother or one of them, or no, not the mother, the other one, whatever. He had made Betty White. He had made a life-size Betty White cake for her birthday, and no, we swapped business cards. We haven't stayed in touch, but we hacked for 18 hours on the way back to Joburg. Amazing. Of course, I personally would have preferred if it was Kate Moss, but you take what you can get.
I know he is a legend. He's a legend.
So is he still on TV, Kim?
Yes.
Okay, I must go find out.
I think he's on DSTV. He's got like his own show, and they actually show his kitchen and how he makes like monster cakes, and they layers and layers, and he's amazing.
Okay. Well, for those people who are wondering why we're talking about Cake Boss and Kate Moss, it's because we are going live in about 3 minutes time, and until we go live we have a little bit of a hug to each other because we don't get to see each other in person so much anymore. Except Lauren Boolkin, you have like 300 children in your home.
And they've all disappeared.
They all disappeared. But you also have a son in Israel. Is he fully vaccinated?
He is. I must say he's fully fathered, and he's good. All his mates are, and Israel's up and running beautifully.
And life has returned to normal.
It so has.
So I want to know, Sharon, have you registered to get the vaccine?
Are you giving my age away now?
I know. I'm expecting a response to say I'm not in the age category yet, but as soon as I am, I'm sure I will.
Please God, I'll get it soon, because my son had a little boy about 3 months ago, and I'm just relishing to get to England, to London. That's
so in fact, we're doing a webinar tomorrow night on international travel.
Okay.
And it's going to be at 8 p.m. tomorrow night. If you haven't registered, you must register. We'll talk about it in a few moments. But we're going to talk about all of those conditions of South African trying to get for a bris to Israel, for a simcha in America, for funeral in New York, for a holiday in the Maldives. What are the rules that are actually applying to that? And we've got Kim Kerr, who's like the country expert on all of these things, coming on. We've got Dr. Anton Marburg, who's going to be talking about why people think South Africans are dangerous and should we be closing our borders to Indians. And we've got half of the Israeli consulate coming on as well. And they're going to give us the rules because so many people want to get to Israel to see friends, family, to go to pray, to whatever. And so we're going to be talking about all of that tomorrow night at 8 p.m. So it is also tomorrow night Yom Yerushalayim. So we'll be talking about how do we get to Jerusalem sooner rather than later. But I'm afraid, to be quite honest, the news is not so good. And we'll talk about tomorrow, but your easiest way to get to London is going to be you're either going to have to spend 2 weeks in a hotel room somewhere at your own expense, or to go to the Maldives on holiday for 2 weeks and then go to London, which doesn't seem like a terrible idea. Maybe a very expensive idea, but not a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Exactly. In fact, Sharon was supposed to be on one of our first webinars, our first baked the Shavuot webinars, but she actually had COVID. So I think you were one of the first people we actually had that we was like, no, I can't.
June the 18th last year, on my brother's birthday, I remember. Yeah.
Absolutely
And
ridiculous.
now, unfortunately, my nephew's got it, and I think this is the third wave, isn't it?
The third wave has definitely begun.
Yeah.
But the time has just gone 8 o'clock. So to everyone around the world watching us, a huge welcome to all of you. And Dina, before we have any Jewish festival, we talk about food. Why is that?
Because as they say, they try to kill us. We still let's eat.
Oh, I don't know about you, but I think you have just frozen. Can anyone see Dina?
It's food.
I can.
Am I the only one having difficulty
Let me
hearing
just
Dina?
see if and now
Dina?
am I here? Oh, you can hear.
Okay, now you're back. Tell us what you were saying.
Sorry, so I was saying that food is at the very heart of Judaism because, as they say, they tried to kill us, we survived, let's eat. So that's what we do. We focus on food. Food brings people together. It makes us happy. It's joyous. It's celebratory. And that is why. And then not only that, but it gives us an excuse to talk about food.
And I need some halachic advice. I don't know who can give it to me, but why is it traditional that on Shavuot, which starts next week, Sunday night, why is it traditional that we have dairy rather than meat products? Danny, you're my halachic advisor. Danny,
I'm definitely not going to give halachic advice. I'll just give you the reason. It's actually a tradition. The reason being is because on Shavuot we received the Torah. And because the Jews didn't have the laws of slaughter, of animal slaughter, I hope I don't offend anyone, they didn't actually eat meat. So they traditionally ate dairy. And that's why on Shavuot we commemorate the giving of the Torah by showing how pious the Jews were, that they didn't have the laws. And therefore they took it upon themselves to only eat dairy products until they received the Torah and received the laws of slaughter. And that's why we eat dairy on Shavuot.
That is correct.
I understand that's the traditional answer, but Chabadniks actually do eat meat. I don't quite know why. Maybe you can help us with that. But my shul every year has a Shavuot dinner. I'm not sure if they're having one now. So they have a meat dinner, and every year my mother objects completely. She's not going to go because she thinks our shul has become reform.
So I might have to overstep my authority over here. However, it's not actually just a Chabad custom. The truth is, halachically, you have an obligation to eat meat on Yom Tov. That is a halachic obligation. The eating of milk is just a custom. So actually a lot of people, not only Chabad, actually have for brocha, they will have blintzes and cheesecake, but actually when they sit down to eat lunch or dinner, they will actually eat meat. But I do hear you, Howard. I was also raised like that for many years, and I was horrified when I came to a Shavuot dinner to see meat, but apparently that is actually the correct way to go.
So Danny, you're on controls this evening. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Great to see you. Nice to see you. The beard is off. And Shavuot starts, are we correct? Next Sunday evening, Sunday night, Monday night next week.
Correct.
So I hope everyone's seen the latest edition of the Jewish Report. So if you haven't, please go to your local Pick and Pay, your Checkers, your garage shop, your Spaza, your Discam, and pick up the latest edition of the Jewish Report. Danny, we're only seeing it on a very little screen, so maybe you can increase the size of that. And in this week's edition, the headline article is about the tragedy at Mount Meron in Israel. And we know about 45 people died in that tragedy. Please go read about it and the South African connection to that tragedy. Pick up your copy of the South African Jewish Report in any of those places. We distribute to about 240 locations around South Africa, in Durban, East London, Port Elizabeth, even in places like Oudtshoorn, Bloemfontein, Kimberley, all over Johannesburg, Cape Town, Umhlanga. So go pick up your copy. But if you can't get hold of a copy, you can always go and look on www.sajr.co.za, and you'll be able to either download the entire full edition, or alternatively, you can read the individual articles there as well. A reminder to everyone that we're going to be cooking tonight. We're going to send out all of the recipes from this evening. But if you have any questions for any of the panelists, there's a Q&A button at the bottom if you're watching on Zoom. If you're on Facebook or alternatively on YouTube, post a comment in the comment section. We'll make sure that we bring those questions across, so we'll be able to ask all of our panelists to answer that. And we have a webinar tomorrow night, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. We are going to be talking about international travel. And I think, as someone just pointed out in the chat, things change on an absolute day-by-day basis. So we're going to give you the best, most up-to-date advice tomorrow if you're trying to get into Canada, the United States, Australia, England, Israel. But of course, anything could happen the next day. But we're going to talk about what are the options and the opportunities in order for international travel. That's tomorrow, 8 p.m. It's also Yom Yerushalayim beginning tomorrow night. So we're going to be talking about how we can get you to Jerusalem. So that's 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. And before we begin, Dina, we have a huge thing tonight, a massive giveaway, because we're running a patron campaign for the Jewish Report. So you and I and Danny are all volunteers on what we're doing. None of us are getting paid, but we do have a staff at the Jewish Report who're producing a newspaper, and we're printing the newspaper and we're delivering to people's homes and apartments, about 11,500 hard copy editions. And we're getting a website up and running, looked at about 30,000 people every month. And all of that costs money. And in order to do that, we're asking our community to help us. And the way you can help us is by becoming a patron of the South African Jewish Report and giving us a contribution of 180 Rand a month, which you can cancel at any point in time. But Corin Liebman and Joanne Epstein have done an amazing deal for us. And that is, if you join tonight, if you join our patron campaign tonight, this remarkable cookbook, Cooked, you get one of these free of charge. And it has gone to some of the best chefs in the country. And they've asked them for their favorite and best recipes. So we're going to play a short video about joining the patron campaign. We're going to stick the details of the campaign in the chat section on Zoom, as well as on Facebook and on YouTube. But if you sign up tonight, we'll make sure you get a free copy of this remarkable cookbook. And now I have a copy, and I must tell you, some of these recipes are absolutely, absolutely astounding. You really don't want to miss out. Danny, show us a little video about the patron campaign. Dina, do you have a copy of this book?
I actually don't. So
you don't?
I do not. I think my sister got it last time. So I think I need a copy. So I am signing up.
Okay. So Danny, I'm going to ask you to put up a poll. And the poll says, would you like to become a member of the patron campaign and become a patron of the South African Jewish Report? Please click yes. We will send you an email allowing you to do that, and we'll make sure you get a copy of this remarkable book called Cooked. So we're going to just take a minute as people sign up for the patron campaign. And Dina, tell us what we got in store tonight as people are busy clicking on. I see we've already got about 20, 25 people who've joined the patron campaign this evening.
So we are so absolutely honored and thrilled that we have got 4 unbelievable culinary wizards with us this evening. We have got Sharon Lurie, and I'm so glad you've corrected us, guys. So now we know it's Sharon and not Sharon. Sharon Lurie, the butcher's wife. Just so you know, your cookbook is actually here. So I've made lots of things from that. So we've got Sharon, we've got Romi Rabinowitz, also queen of her own kitchen. What's your Instagram handle? Lovely SA.
Ever so lovely.
Ever so lovely SA. So that's there. And then we have Tobias, the original Koeksister. and we have Lauren Boolkin. So we have literally just such an amazing lineup of amazing chefs and cooks, and especially for Shavuot, when people are always going, well, what can I make? But this is, we want it indulgent. We want to be decadent. You know, we've had a rough year and we feel we can be decadent and we can indulge. So this is our opportunity.
Amazing. Fantastic. So thank you to everyone who has joined our patron campaign. Much, much appreciated. And Dina, what is our first chef going to be cooking for us this evening? And just a reminder to people, if you have any questions for any of our chefs, put it in the Q&A section on Zoom, or if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, just leave a comment there and we'll pick it up and we'll pass it over to our chefs.
Absolutely. So we thought we would start off with Lauren Boolkin, because she is going to make us a relatively healthy dish to start off with, although it is very Moorish. So she is going to be making us a salmon this evening. So she'll talk about it and she will give us a live demo. We've got her camera. You can see her kitchen. She's getting all ready. She's getting all decked. And we're going to start off with Lauren and then we'll go through each individual as we go.
Okay, we good?
We are indeed.
So, all right. So hi, everybody. I'm making a Cajun salmon today or tonight. And the beauty of the salmon is it actually only uses one baking sheet, a frying pan, and a knife, which appeals to me because there's no mess, there's no chaos. And as you said, it's relatively healthy. So what I've done just to prep it so that we have it done in time is I've taken some baby potatoes. I've washed them, I've cut them in half, I've tossed them in 2 tablespoons of olive oil and a little bit of coarse salt, and I've baked them in a 200-degree oven for about 30 minutes until they're kind of brownish. I don't know if everybody can see it. It's just starting to get brown. So what I'm going to do now is I have my salmon, which I have washed and dried, and I'm going to take some Cajun seasoning. Dina, I actually sent you a recipe for Cajun seasoning in case people can't find it in the shops. I did manage to find, but if you don't, I did send you the recipe.
Thank you. And just so they know, the questions are coming in if people want to get the recipe. So just so they know, we will send the link and everyone will get the recipes tonight.
Yes, and it's actually really, really simple, and you can kind of modify it to suit your own taste. So in my dish, I've got the Cajun seasoning and a little bit of olive oil. And I'm going to wash my hands, I think. I'm taking my salmon and I'm going to rub the seasoning onto the salmon.
Right. Can you move your camera a bit so we can just see you actually? Sorry, I know your cameraman is standing by.
There we go. Better.
There we go.
Right, so here's my salmon. I'm going to shush my potatoes out to the side, and I'm going to take my salmon and I'm going to coat it beautifully in the Cajun seasoning.
Obviously, it's fresh salmon. So you've just got it from your fish shop.
Yeah.
Where's the place? Where would you recommend to get fish from?
It's a difficult question, but I do like the salmon from the marina. Reason being is it's cheaper than most other stores, and it is really, really fresh, and they do have a kosher board. What I often do is I buy the whole fish, which works out much cheaper. I have it vacuum packed individually into 200-gram portions, and then I just keep it in my freezer, so it's readily available should we want it. It's good for sushi, and it's good for a quick meal like this. Right, so the salmon is in the dish with my potatoes. Can you see? On top of that, I'm going to put my asparagus, which I'm just going to
Right, and that's just normal asparagus that you just buy from a Woolies or
normal asparagus. Probably 2 packets is good, but I'm going to just put 1 so it goes quicker. Yes. And I'm going to take my asparagus and literally just throw it on top of the salmon. Okay. In my dish, I've got Parmesan cheese, which I've grated, half a cup. There is beautiful kosher Parmesan at Super Sconto. It's got their whole Italian shipment in, and there's lots in the fridge. Right, so I put my cheese on top of the salmon, on top of the asparagus. I just want to check that I haven't forgotten anything.
While you do that, Lauren, just Super Sconto, people will know, is in Orange Grove, kind of almost between the Victory Theatre and Norwood, in that area, and there's a parking lot in front, and it's a fantastic Italian deli, and you can get kosher Parmesan cheese there.
Kosher Parmesan, kosher tin tomatoes, kosher pasta. It's really worthwhile popping in there.
Yeah,
I'm putting this into my oven.
And you get the bulk.
200. And that's going to go in. And that's going to go in for about 10-15 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to mix up a dressing of, let's just see. Why don't you pass me a teaspoon?
It's a very interesting bowl, Lauren.
Hold on one second.
Lauren, I have a question as well. When you put the salmon in the oven, you didn't put it in the middle rack, you put it in a top rack. Is that correct?
Yes. Don't ask me why, because I think I just did it, because I did it.
Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, this is a beautiful bowl. I bought it now when I was in Cape Town, and I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of red wine vinegar into the bowl.
So what are you using today?
Red wine vinegar. I'm going to put in, I don't know what I'm going to put in, hold on. I'm going to put in some lemon rind.
Someone's asking you where you got your bowl in Cape Town.
I can look up her name and post it. I've gone blank.
But it's don't worry, that's not part of the actual course.
No, but I will look it up and I can post it. Her stuff is really phenomenal. It's absolutely magnificent. I mean, I could say if you walk down the street in Moody Point and you get to the corner next to the bottle store, there's a beauty salon. And if you look on the shelf, she's got them. But I'll post details.
Is it XOXO Pottery?
That's it. Yes. How do you know?
Because Stacey Schwartzberg told us. You see, we've got such a nice community. We're always sharing it.
Hello, Stace. I missed you, Stace. Hold on one sec. Okay, so now I've lost my train of thought. Right, so we put the red wine vinegar in, we've put the lemon rind, we're going to put in a tablespoon of olive oil.
Dina, I can't help thinking that bowl looks a little like Frankenstein's head sewed together.
It's funky, it's unique.
Yeah, it's even got a bit of wabi-sabi on the side, look. Okay, we're going to put in the olive oil. Can I have some chili flakes? And a pinch of chili flakes. Am I making sense?
Yeah, the recipe, yes.
Right. Right, so I'm just beating this all together. I think a little bit of salt as well, which has now disappeared.
So Merle Kaplan has asked us where La Marina is. I am going to post that into the chat section. So if people do want to go pick up their salmon from La Marina. And Lauren, you tell them when they cut your salmon, they must just do it on the kosher board.
I ask them to do it on the kosher board, and I tell them 200-gram portions. And it really, really is significantly cheaper to buy the whole fish. It seems like a lot initially, but it actually lasts and it goes quite quickly, well, in my house at least.
And someone is asking, are there any alternative seasonings to Cajun that you're putting on the salmon?
I don't know. I mean, I suppose you could. Cajun's a mixture of paprika, smoked paprika, oregano, thyme, a little bit of cayenne pepper. So I suppose you could make your own mix and then just leave out the ingredients that you don't like. But the Cajun taste mixed with the lemon butter is just really phenomenal. You know, it's well worth trying. I just want to taste this. Yeah. Okay. So into this, I'm going to put some dill.
Dina, you will see that the Lauren's bowl actually says XO on it. So Stacey was definitely right there.
Oh, you see, it's like signing own artwork. And then see, and someone's asking, what's a kosher board and what, if anything, makes this meal especially culturally Jewish? Well, we eat fish. I think, you know what, we've actually moved further and further away from what we think is culturally Jewish. I mean, as you say, when Howard, what we always say, when Lithuania, we call it Jewish food, the herring and everything like that. They just call it normal food. But we just like good food. So in terms of culturally Jewish, I suppose good food is culturally Jewish.
Exactly. Someone's actually asking about the kosher shop in Orange Grove. So Super Sconto is not kosher, but they stock kosher products. So I'm going to post the details of Super Sconto into the chat. If you're looking for fantastic Italian food, Super Sconto in Orange Grove is absolutely the place to go to. And Gloria is asking, how long does the salmon last in the freezer?
In my house, about 2 weeks, but normally you can keep it for up to 3 months.
Right.
Here is the Parmesan cheese from Super Sconto. It is called, it's Parmigiano Reggiano, so it's the real deal. And it's called Bertinelli, and it does have the kosher stamp. Right, so I've mixed up my dressing, and into the dressing, I'm supposed to put a bit of watercress, which I couldn't find. So instead, I'm putting some pea shoots. I'm putting a little bit of dill and a little bit of rocket from my garden. And I'm going to give it a toss.
Sorry, Howard, Mel said he also posted the details for Super Sconto in the chat.
Fantastic. And why it's really important to get kosher Parmesan for people who maybe are a little iffy on whether they do kosher or not kosher is because genuine Parmesan is actually cured in the stomach of a cow. And kosher Parmesan is obviously not. So that's why a lot of people are very determined that their Parmesan must be kosher.
So why would this be Parmesan Reggiano if it's not done?
No, they would have done it in a different matter, but it would be from the correct region of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
And stuff.
Right. So the salad is mixed. The salmon is in the oven. And I'm going to take this over to my frying pan. It's a little bit of butter, salted butter. And I'm putting it into my frying pan. Do you want to move the camera? Or not? Just trying to set it a lot. Right. And we're going to switch this on eventually. Just don't set this wire a lot.
Yeah,
you will see.
Let's not have, we had a fire webinar a week ago.
Yes, I would definitely, okay, the wire's moved.
Okay, this is called watching butter melt. I'm just going to go and check on the salmon.
All right, while you're doing that, there's also there's a website called fishandfood.co.za, started by 2 women during COVID, during lockdown, and they deliver their food. Their fish is outstanding. So fishandfood.co.za, also an outstanding alternative. I've never watched melted butter just melt.
Yeah, exactly. What's it? How to watch something? How to watch?
Paint dry.
Now we're watching butter melt.
This is more exciting because there's a process.
Okay, so the trick with the butter actually is to let it melt and to cook it for 2 or 3 minutes until it starts to get that nutty smell. And then you know your butter's good. It's almost there.
And what pan are you using? It looks like a very good non-stick pan.
It's a beautiful, it's a Le Creuset one. Reason being is that it is non-stick and it just makes life a whole lot easier.
So Lauren, let me ask this question because Le Creuset is almost unaffordable for most people. Are there alternative equivalents to Le Creuset that you could recommend?
However, is the Tefl I've seen, but the thing with Le Creuset is you can buy it on eBucks. You can buy it with your Discovery Miles, which is quite a good thing. And I actually think it's worthwhile just, investing in one good pan. My family eats their breakfast from this pan. I use it to cook my food. I think it's worthwhile buying one good thing and rather, than a whole lot of stuff that you keep having to replace.
Yeah. And sometimes I also special as well.
And we're almost there. The steak's quite hot. I'm going to just try and move it.
So Tony Lachman wants to know if we're only giving sauces in Johannesburg. I think our pottery bowl is only available in Cape Town. So Tony, definitely not.
Okay. So the butter is basically there. I'm just going to check on the salmon one last time.
And also cooking on gas actually does sort of speed up the process as well.
Okay, so the salmon is actually done. I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Let's take it off.
And I presume you squeezed your own lemon. You didn't take it out of a Licol bottle.
Once you're over the sizzling, wait. Hold on.
I would bet that Lauren has squeezed her own lemons. I did see the squeezer.
It's like the Rosh Hashanah machine. Last time. See, there's the squeezing bowl. Now it's the Rosh Hashanah machine.
and very important, Tony Lachman has told us that to get fish in Cape Town, we should go to Greenfish or Southern Cross Fishery for the best fish in Cape Town. So Tony, thank you so much for that. That's great advice.
Greenfish. I'm actually writing that down.
So we're good. Here's my beautiful salmon. You can see it's all brown and crusty with my crunchy potatoes. And I'm just pouring on the lemon butter. It's not such a lot because there's a lot of salmon here.
And sorry, did you say that you had pre-boiled your potatoes and all of that? So that they're ready?
Pre-cook the potatoes for about 20 to 25 minutes before, just to save time. The recipe says put the salad on top of the salmon, but I'm not doing that because I want to just go and take Howard's some quickly. So I don't want it to get all funny. But you're actually supposed to take the vegetables, put them on top of the salmon and serve it like that. And we're done.
Amazing, simple, beautiful recipe.
It was really, as you saw, it was really 10 minutes. In the space that I made the salad, chopped up the vegetables, the salmon was actually done. And there's no mess, relatively low.
That looks absolutely delicious. And I see Kay back on is saying, I'm watching butter melt from 8,000 miles away. Kay, you have to tell us where you are, not just the distance away from us. But Judy's saying it looks absolutely delicious.
It is really, really delicious. I've eaten quite a bit of salmon. And I must say, of all the salmon recipes, this is now my best one.
So we are going to send out the links for all the recipes to everyone, but I am going to put on the group now just a link to a Dropbox where people can go to and actually get them now. But we will also WhatsApp it out or email it out to everyone who's registered for this evening.
Kay is in Hertfordshire in the UK.
Fantastic. Lauren, thank you. That looks absolutely amazing. And Danny, one of our sponsors for tonight is in fact Hold Real Estate in Israel. And we've been in a partnership with Hold for the last few months. And you will know Liat Dina. I had lunch with Liat Amara Run in the week. And we spoke about how many people during lockdown appeared to be leaving South Africa. She tells me that probably this year about 530 people will leave to go on Aliyah to go live in Israel over this year. That's a lot of people, and those people need places to live and they need homes. So Hold Real Estate in Israel is one of our sponsors for this evening. And Danny, can we see a quick video from them, please? So if you are looking for a second home in Israel, or if you are going to live in Israel and you're looking for a property, our partners at Hold would love to chat to you. And without any obligation at all, please feel free to complete the poll that you see on your screen right now. And someone from Hold will give you a shout and tell you what's available, what areas to be looking at, and give you fantastic advice that you'll be able to go through during the entire period. They'll hold your hands, that help you set up bank accounts, that help you deal with deposits. If you want to rent out, that help you with that as well. So if you have any interest in property in Israel, this is the time just to mark on the webinar, on the poll in front of you, or alternatively, if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, just mark in the chat and we'll get someone from Hold to give you a shout and talk you through some of the options. And we're going to keep that up for about another 40 or 50 seconds while Dina, you tell us what's coming up next. What delicious food do we have in store after that?
So we are so blessed to have with us, ever so lovely SA. We have Romi Rabinowitz. We keep that in because there's family and there's food in the family business. So we make sure that we have to bring in the heritage because it's very important. So Romi is going to make for us, is it a lemon meringue?
A lemon meringue pie.
And that's just one of the many, 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 many things that you add. Hey? So tell us, what you have an absolute love of cooking. You've got a love of food. Where does it come from?
Dean, I do come from a family of foodies. I really, really do. And I think that they have passed their love down to me. And not even just the women in the family, the men in the family as well.
And you know what I love, Rob? I bumped you in Woolworths a little while ago. And and this is my favorite. So she says to me, she goes, no, she's having a very, very small dinner, obviously because of COVID and because of the family. So Howard, I mean, you'll love this. So I said, a very, very small dinner for Romi is 60. And Stru's Bob, I said, how many people are you having? She said, about 60.
No, man. That was literally my immediate sisters and parents.
It was literally just the family.
Yes, in over a year. Literally since February last year. It's been so hard. I miss having you, Deans. I can't have you back.
No, we like, I literally, the first time I think I ever went to you, I was just bowled over. Like you just do everything magnificently. You've got you do the flowers and the tables. I thought it was a bat mitzvah, but it was magnificent. It was absolutely.
I'm actually really missing that. I have to be honest. It's hard for me.
I know, but listen, you have definitely got a talent, you've got a knack and a gift that we love and we so appreciate. So I think what we're going to do, Danny, I know you've done a pre-record on your video, so we're going to get Danny to play that for us, and then you're going to take us through. I'm sure people have got tons of questions and need your tips, and we'll answer all of those as we go.
Great. I thought it was something different.
Absolutely. Who doesn't like a lemon meringue pie?
Yeah.
All right. So Danny, please show us Romi's video.
Hi guys, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Romi Rabinowitz. I'm so looking forward to the upcoming Chag of Shavuot. I absolutely love all the milchik foods. Today, we are going to
let's just get you on your food. Hold on, Danny.
Shavuot that I've been making for very many years, and it is a delicious lemon meringue pie. Let's get started. To begin with, you will need a box of Nutty Crust biscuits or any biscuits that you like, whether it be Mari biscuits or tennis biscuits. I just love these Nutty Crust biscuits, and this is what you are going to do. First of all, you place them into your food processor or Magimix. Next, you are going to need about 125 grams of butter, which is about half a cup, and you are going to melt that butter in a pot on your stove, like I'm doing over here. Once your butter is melted, you take it off the stove and you place it into your Magimix with your Nutty Crust biscuits, and you put your lid on. Once you've whizzed your butter and your Nutty Crust biscuits, your mixture should look like this, not too wet and not too dry. And this is when you take your pie dish and you make your crust of your lemon meringue pie like I'm doing over here. Making a nice even layer of biscuit. There you go. And you take your pie dish and you place it in an oven of 180 degrees for 10 minutes. While your crust is baking in the oven, the next step is you make the filling of the lemon meringue pie. You will need 2 tins of full cream sweetened condensed milk. This is the Clover condensed milk, but I know Nestle also does one and they are readily available. Next, you will need 4 egg yolks, and save the whites because that is going to become your topping. You put your 4 egg whites into the condensed milk, and lastly you add a cup of lemon juice and give that a good beating. Lastly, it is time to make your topping. You take your egg whites that you have reserved. Sometimes I may put in another 1 or 2 egg whites depending on how fluffy you would like your topping, and you place that into your Kenwood Chef, or you can use a hand beater. The choice is yours, and you give that a good beating until the egg whites are stiff. Once they are well beaten, you add around half a cup of caster sugar to make them Sweet. Now your crust should be ready and it can be removed from the oven. Let it cool a little and then add your mixture, your lemon and egg yolk mixture to the base that you have taken out the oven. Lastly, add your egg white mixture on top of the filling. So you will have 3 different layers. Even it out on top. Once that is done, you place it back in the oven on 120 degrees for around 20 to 30 minutes until the tops are golden and delicious. Wait for it to cool, serve and enjoy. It should be nice and golden on top. Let's take a look. Absolutely delicious. Chag Sameach, everyone, and love.
Now, Romels, that looks amazing, and you make it look so simple. And what do you serve that with? So you obviously you don't serve it hot, right?
No, you serve it cold. I serve it as a dessert, Deans, or for parties, or like I serve that as a Shavuot dessert. That would be like the end of the meal with coffee.
It looks.
And I imagine ice cream would go very nicely with that as well.
No, how? I think it would be a bit much.
Okay, I'm a bit much. What can I do?
I think it's too rich with ice cream. But yes, it's delicious. I've been making it for really since, it was one of the first things I ever made when I got married, and I've been making it ever since. So for 20 years.
I want to ask, and then also sometimes people make like little ones. Can you do those as like cupcakes almost, like in a loaf, like a little tin, like a cupcake?
You know what? I was thinking that it would be nice to do them in like little ramekins. I haven't done it, but you definitely could put them in little ramekins and give each person their own pot for dessert. I think it would look beautiful. And you can definitely do that. Yes.
And then you said you use nutty crust. Could you use anything else besides nutty?
Yes, definitely. I like the caramelly flavor, but you can use any biscuit, Mari, tennis, any of those.
And what's your secret to crush them? Because I know it's always an interesting conversation of how do you put it in a bag and a rolling pin? Like how do you
I put mine in my Magimix. I crushed it with the butter and I just whiz until it's the texture that I desire.
Okay. Howard, how do you crush your biscuits, Howard?
I'm going to try to carb free.
This is not carb free. It's not sugar free. It's decadent.
You probably could do something. You could probably use like a digestive biscuit or something a bit more.
Excuse me for 1 minute while I collect my Lauren Boolkin salmon, which has arrived at my front door. I'll be back with you in a moment.
Already, that's good service, I have to say. I love that. And Romi, you know what else I want to ask you? The yellows, or do you use
Can I tell you? I've actually got a little egg separating device that I can actually show you if you want. You crack, it's like a little silver thing that you put on top of your glass, and then you crack your egg and it keeps the yolk and the white falls into the glass.
Okay,
so that is a very useful device that I have, and I use it all the time.
Because my kids actually watch a lot of those like cooking channels, and there's always an issue in terms of like the verstunkene egg.
I'm going to show you, Deans.
Marvelous. So tell us, what are you doing for Shavuot? What are you actually making? I know you've definitely got a menu planned.
Well, I'm just having my parents and my 3 sisters, And that fish is looking good. Lauren's fish is looking like a very delicious option as a starter. And I love making a cream of tomato soup, which is my mother's recipe, which I'm sure I'll do. And either a lemon meringue or a delicious cheesecake for dessert. And nice salads. I do a very good Caesar salad, maybe a Caesar salad to go with it. And yes, something like that. But I've got to give it thought.
All right. And I know you were looking at doing a cookbook. What's happening with that?
Dean, I still want to do the cookbook. And it is something that I definitely want to do. At the moment, I've got my Instagram channel and I've been doing webinars and giving recipes, and I'm really enjoying that.
Give us your Instagram handle as well so people can go and look you up.
It's called @eversolovely.sa, and it's on Instagram, and I post recipes and videos and tips, and I'd love all of you to follow me.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, there's such interesting stuff on there. I'm fascinated. I don't know how you even come up with the recipes, but they look delicious. Like I'm salivating.
Yay, I'm so pleased.
All I can say is my salmon has arrived from Lauren Boolkin. Romi, please feel free to come drop off dessert.
That lemon meringue was annihilated by the time evening came. There was none left.
So, Dina, there've been a few questions of people who want to know about substitutes. So the one question about substitutes was, what can people use instead of red wine vinegar? I quickly looked it up. Apple cider is a good alternative if you don't want red wine vinegar, and lemon juice is another alternative instead of red wine vinegar.
Yeah, so that was with regard to the salmon, absolutely.
That was regard to the salmon. And we also had requests for details relating to where to buy decent fish in Cape Town. So we had a few things. So Tony Lachman said to us, Greenfish and Southern Cross Fisheries were two great places to go. And he also says online and fantastic tuna Norwegian salmon from Mossel Bay Soles, and they only do freshly cooked fish, freshly caught fish.
Exactly. And now someone else has also asked, Joan has asked Romi if she can please post her mom's tomato soup recipe on the
Absolutely. It's our famous recipe. It's on my Instagram page under Mom's Cream of Tomato Soup. It is there.
And I love that you share, Romi. It's part of your nature.
Of course, I'm so happy to share.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. It looks absolutely delicious. And also you make it look so easy that you just like whip this up, no problem.
It is easy. Just you need to be organized. That's what I've discovered. You have to have everything laid out, everything prepared, and then it's really simple. And that is my tip of the day.
Thank you so much. Howard, are there any other questions that you want to ask before we...
No, those are the questions to ask, but we're going to hear from Kosher World first. Who are we going to speak to after we've seen Kosher World's advert?
So after Kosher World's advert, we are going to speak to Sharon. I've called her Sharon Lurie forever, but she's not Sharon. She's please help me with this. It's Sharon Lurie, who is the butcher's wife, who we've been trying to get on the show for ages. Unfortunately, she had COVID in the very beginning. So Sharon is going to be on, and she is going to show us the traditional, which is the no-bake cheesecake, because you've got to have a cheesecake on Shavuot. So we'll show Kosher World's ad, and then we'll be right back with Sharon.
Thanks, Danny. Please show us Kosher World's ad. So that's Kosher World at 1 Long Avenue. If you want to know where to get anything kosher in Johannesburg, that's the place to go to. So Sharon, tell us about, I understand this huge competition amongst every chef in Joburg on who produces the best cheesecake. What is the secret of a great cheesecake recipe?
You know what? Every single person has got their mother's cheesecake recipe, and they believe that their cheesecake recipe is the best. So that's what they used to. So that's just that. I enjoy making hot cheesecake, but for tonight, we're doing a cold cheesecake. One that we don't have to bake, one that it's actually wonderful because we lose power all the time. So for load shedding, we can make this.
I love that. Only in South Africa do we have a backup cheesecake recipe. Load shedding.
Backup cheesecake.
Marvelous. And
we're going to watch your video now. Now there's a break in the video. We go from kind of having it in a pot and we don't quite know how it gets into the final stage. When we've watched the video, we're going to come back and you're going to tell us what magic happened in those few moments that we're missing.
Yeah, I think because we got lost in translation somewhere.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay.
So let's roll the video and then we'll bring up the magic.
And we'll chat afterwards. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, I can take my mask off because you're about 3 people away from me. So what I'm doing is a no-bake white chocolate cheesecake. No bake, obviously, because we're not going to bake it. But all the ingredients in this no-bake cake firm the cheesecake up once we put it in the fridge. We're going to start with melting 125 grams of butter, which I've got in here, and I'm going to add it to the crumbs, which are going to form the base of my chocolate cheesecake. So mix it in well, and it should resemble wet sand on the beach. I think that's quite a nice explanation for it. And then what you're going to do is you can use a pan like this with a loosely fitting base, which is quite easy to take out. If you find that you battle to take it out, just put a warm cloth around it and it just slips out. Or you can, of course, use a springform tin. So I'm going to put this mixture, a lovely mixture, into here, and I'm going to take it all the way up the sides. Let me wash my hands again and push this through quite easily. We're going to lift it up the sides because I think it just makes it look a lot prettier when it's up the sides. You don't have to add more butter. You don't, because you've got the butter in the crumbs anyway. So up the sides, and then we just draw a little bit into the middle to flatten it up. I hope my editor will speed this up because people know what to do here. Okay, and then once I've got it all sort of symmetrically done and I've got the crumbs on the bottom, I'm going to stick it in the fridge. Okay, so that goes into the fridge. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I am going to melt my chocolate. Okay? I'm going to put that in the microwave for about, I would say about 3 minutes, or you can put it over a double boiler. It's not a problem. But what I'd like to do is start with the cream cheese and I like to use this particular cream cheese because it's somehow more solid and firm, and it just gives it a smoother sort of velvety texture. I'm going to then add my creme fraiche. Okay, and just mix those two together. Simple as that, because I want the cream cheese to be lovely and smooth. And slowly, I add my checked egg, the whole egg, and the egg yolk to the cream cheese filling. Add my sugar, so keeping it on low speed, not too high, because otherwise you may flick the cream and the cream cheese all over your kitchen. Okay? Right, I'll turn up the speed now to try and incorporate everything. And keep it lovely and smooth. And while right, another third chocolate is the Decadent chocolate. It's lovely, it's melted. As you saw, I use Nestle's, but I mean you can use any white chocolate that you prefer. And then I just sort of, let me just have a cloth because that's a bit hot. Okay, and I slowly add my melted butter. So that sort of warms up the mixture and makes it more smooth and velvety. And to that, I add the chocolate. Now, be careful you don't overdo the chocolate, over melt it, because you can burn it. So, if you get any closer, you'll see how it all mixes to a wonderful smooth paste. Okay, I'll turn up the speed a little bit. Now, a lot of people are going to ask, do you use salted butter, unsalted? I like to use salted butter because I think it just brings out all the lovely flavors in the cream cheese. So I use salted butter. Okay, and then we are going to put it into our lovely and then we'll end up with hopefully something like this. I like to warm the knife, cut it, and then cut a nice piece, and then wipe it, re-warm it, so you get lovely, neat pieces. Now, you're all going to wonder, well, what's she got these orchids in front of it? I mean, this is such a busy, beautiful cloth. The reason why I have this beautiful orchid is that today, we're filming on the 5th of May, is my late mother-in-law's birthday. And would you believe that every year, either on the 2nd to the 8th of May, out come her beautiful orchids. They just blossom. So that's why I decided I needed to use this in the shot. Remember now as well that you can put whatever you want to on top of this cheesecake. You can put chocolate, as I have. I've made it a really decadent chocolate cheesecake. You can put strawberry coulis on top. You can, where you boil the strawberries with a little bit of sugar until most of the moisture's out, and then just pour it over. I mean, there are so many different things that you can put on top of this. And what's also lovely is like a bar wine or Nutella or something. Pour that over the top of it. There's so many things you can do. Thank you for cooking with me. And you know what I suggest for Shavuot that you make something really light. That you make possibly like trout or beautiful piece of grilled salmon, something really light. And then you can dive into this decadent cheesecake afterwards and not feel so guilty.
I love that. And I love the fact that you say you can do that. And Judy Freeman says, looks amazing, but I think my arteries spontaneously combusted when the melted butter went in. Would still eat it though.
You've got to go Decadent once a year. I've been on Shavuot. You know what you were saying earlier about meat and milk and that on Shavuot. You know what I do very often is I serve a milchik soup in the playroom, and then we wait a little bit, and then I serve my meat. But because we always have meat on Yom Tov, that's just one of the things.
Well, you are the butcher's wife, so technically, and as I said, I was showing your book that, and you have like your apron, which I loved, matched the scrunchie. It's important when you're cooking to match.
Because you know what? You have to wear the one rule that my mother taught me about going into the kitchen. You have to tie your hair up. There is nothing worse than a person biting into a piece of cheesecake and a hair comes out.
So Sharon, there's so many questions. There's so many questions for you. So can we start with some of the questions?
Yes.
What crumbs to make the biscuits?
I use tennis biscuits. You can use nutty crust. You can use tennis biscuits. You can use whatever biscuits you want. You can really go to town on the biscuit base because we're not baking it. So you can actually use chocolates. You know those white lovely chocolates. You can, and I use the old-fashioned rolling pin.
That's what I was going to say, because I know I go through also a process, but I don't feel like doing the whole mix master and the whole food process because you got to clean it.
I just roll it and finished.
And someone wants to know, can you make it without the butter in the filling?
You know what? You need the butter because it's once you put it in the fridge, the butter makes it hard, and the chocolate makes it hard. So it is a decadent thing, and you have to live little slivers of it. But
so is it possible to make it without the butter?
Can you make it without the butter? No.
No. Okay.
I mean, you
need the butter to hard.
Then Sharon, Khalil wants to know what brand of cream cheese. You said you like that brand of cream cheese, but you didn't tell us what it was.
It's a Woolworths one. It's the full cream, and it comes in the little, like a tub, plastic tub with a lid on top. It's next to the Philadelphia.
And you prefer that to the Philadelphia?
You can use Philadelphia if you want. You know, there are all sorts of questions as to the kashrut of Philadelphia and whatever, but I wrote to Australia, and they are the producers of it, and it's fine here. So that's what I know. So you can use Philadelphia, and you can use the Woolworths one. So
I still want to know that those magic moments. What were we missing?
You were missing me pouring the cream cheese and the mixture into that dish, and then putting it in the fridge, and then taking it out.
And how long did you leave it in the fridge for?
24 hours. Left it overnight. Made it on, like, say, Tuesday night, and on Wednesday night we did the video.
Okay, and it needs it obviously to set because it's a no-bake cheesecake.
No-bake cheesecake.
Exactly. Yeah. So we covered the biscuits, the cream cheese.
But we haven't covered the chocolate. A few people want to know about using dark chocolate. If they put it in, will it give it like a marbled look if they use dark chocolate in the mixture?
I've never tried it, but it sounds fine. Because I know, it's difficult for some people as well, people that are Halachic Israel as well, so it's easier to get use dark chocolate. But I just stick to white. I just felt like white. And all my chocolates on top, I put white on, but you can put whatever kind of chocolate you want on, whatever you have a mouth for.
And you'll have to translate this question for me, but someone says, why did you use a K beater?
It's the attachment that goes into the Maggi mix somehow.
Oh, the K one. Why did I use that one?
As opposed to maybe the hook, the dough hook.
Oh, as opposed to the whisk. The hook. Because it's not dough. So that's the one that I like to use. The K beater.
Howie, we'll have to get you. You don't have a Maggi mix, eh?
I don't have a Maggi mix, I'm afraid. I wouldn't quite know what to do with it.
And then someone also wanted to know where they can get your book, your books.
At Exclusive, and I think they've got them at Norwood Mall as well.
And online?
They can get it online, Amazon. I think they may battle with the first book.
So Sharon, give us what are the names of all your books so people know?
It's the first one was Cooking with the Kosher Butcher's Wife, where it was just I only did meat and I only did a pair of desserts. The second one was Celebrating. That's all the Chagim. Starts with Shabbos and goes all the way through to Purim. And the third one is a taste of South Africa, which is, in fact, there's a wonderful recipe in that third book for a no-bake milk tart. Oh, my word. In fact, when my sister-in-law heard that I was going on to your program, she said to me, "You've got to give them the no-bake milk tart." So if you get the third book, you'll find it in there. It's quite easy. In fact, I think I've got it on, I can post it on Facebook.
All right, and people are asking for your recipe. The link, again, it's on the chat. So if anyone wants to go into that link, they can get your recipe. And then we've got someone who's just called Huawei that says, dough hook is for dough, whisk is for eggs, and kids for batter cakes, etc. Thanks for that.
I'm learning. Sharon, thank you. That looked absolutely amazing, delicious. I can feel my arteries clogging already.
Well, I've got 3 sitting here waiting for Shavuot.
Okay, deal. May come past and just stick my finger in.
Come past, anytime.
Thanks a million. And Dina, I can tell you, Lauren Boolkin dropped off her salmon. I have finished the entire plate of salmon, and it is by far the best salmon I have ever eaten.
And you know what? I hadn't even spoken to Lauren Boolkin about what she was going to make. And there I said, make salmon and then make
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. And we're going to hear from the Chevra Kadisha in 1 second. But Dina, what's going to happen after the Chet?
So you've got a little sneak preview at the bottom right of your screen. You've got Kim Tobias, the Koeksister. I mean, when you talk about arteries clogging, that's already we're there. So after we've heard from the Chev, we'll be speaking to the original Koeksister, to Kim Tobias, and she will be showing us how to make her pavlova nest, which I'm already finished for. So let's roll that and come back to Kim.
Cool. Thanks, Danny. Please roll. what an unbelievable organization the Chev is. If you're not a supporter of the Chev, you really have to be, because they are the people who look after our elderly and look after our disabled and look after those who have no food and look after those who've been addicted, and just they do our community so much proud in the unbelievable work that they do. So to everyone at the Chev, thank you so much for everything that you do to our community. And we certainly hope our community comes to the party and supports you in these amazing endeavors.
Absolutely. And they have absolutely excelled during lockdown and during COVID. And again, you saw how much they've care and thought and like process implementation they've done. It's just incredible. So absolutely couldn't agree with you more, Howard. And looking at the cupcakes and the gifts and all of that, it brings us to Kim Tobias, the Koeksister. Okay, have you got your camera? Give us your face. There you are. You put your hair up. Were you did you feel pressured by Sharon?
Sharon gave me a bit of a fright, so I thought I'd better quickly go and get my hair tied up, otherwise I'll get matchings.
You're funny. Oh, well, it's wonderful to have you. So you also have your own Instagram handle. Give us your Instagram handle.
It's the Koeksister 68, spelt as you see on my screen.
Fantastic. And I mean, you post all the time. You make the most incredible and inventive creations. I mean, every single time I look at it, I'm like fascinated. I don't even know how you come up with it.
Sometimes neither do I promise.
So tell us, what are you making for us this evening?
So this evening, I think we're all basically sticking to something very similar. So I have got for you different fillings that are going into some form of pavlova nest. We're all used to just the basic pavlova and you pile everything on top, but there's become like a very big trend right across the world. I don't know if you belong to the Friday Night Club on Facebook, which is all the way around the world. All Jewish women post and send out all their ideas, which is very generous of everyone just to send it around the world and give us all ideas. So there's this trend of deconstructing everything. And the deconstruction of the pavlova was one of the trends. And I thought maybe I'd share with all the webinar viewers of how we get to this point. And it actually is as simple as that. Anything with sugar and fillings makes for a wonderful get together, and everyone can participate, obviously in small gatherings. We can all prepare our own pavlova as we see fit. So I've got a small video, and then I'm going to do a little bit of interaction with filling it and showing you how to do that.
Amazing. All right. So yeah, so you've done your video. Danny, please roll the video, and then I'm sure there are going to be lots and lots of questions for you. So let's take a look, and then we will come back for all the answers. Just waiting for our tech.
Okay.
Danny, roll. Because I know you were very diligent and did your whole video before. Thank you.
Hi everybody, it's Kim Tobias. I've just got such a nice invitation to do the second time of the Jewish Report webinar for Shavuot. So today I am going to show you a very simple recipe to make mini pavlovas, and we're going to fill them, and I'm going to show you live how it's done. But for the moment, let's just show you the ingredients. I have 4 egg whites, I have 1 cup of sugar, I have 1 teaspoon of maizena, and eventually, as I go through the recipe, you'll see I will add vinegar in just to make sure that the pavlova is nice and sticky and crunchy in the middle with our topping on top. It will be amazing. So as you can see, I have my whisk attachment that gives the eggs light bubbles and makes the pavlova light. So let me show you. You take your egg whites, toss them in, make sure that your bowl is absolutely clean, and you start the machine. This is 1 minute of beating, and it is lots little bubbles. Now we start adding our sugar in very, very slowly so that the sugar melts into the egg white. See, I've beaten it to a very stiff peak. And then you now start adding tablespoon of maizena, which you need to sift. Make sure that you get it as light, as fluffy as possible by folding it. Don't fold it too harsh because we want to keep that air to make the meringue as light as you can, as airy as we can. So now that our meringue is complete and whipped up, we're now going to fill our piping bag. And at this stage, you can actually add your coloring. It could be pink. If you want to make a chocolate, you can do a dusting of cocoa powder. And so you can make this huge board that's filled with meringues and fillings that everyone can make their own. For a chocolate meringue, you take a teaspoon of cocoa and you just lightly strain it to put it in, and let's fold it in. So now we have our two meringues, one being chocolate meringue and one being a white meringue. And we're going to start piping with a tip that has just got a round circle. We're not going to make it any serious patterns. You take your meringue, you make a circle. That's one way. The other way is to make a little nest. You pipe around and then make a nest that goes round and round so that it can fill them inside. So as you can see, I've made meringues and I've made little nests in meringue. When they are baked, I'm going to put them in the oven now. When they are baked, we're now going to make a filling, and I'm going to show you that live.
Amazing. Also, you make it look so easy. I want to ask you, can you, instead of using sugar, can you use like an alternative, like a xylitol or...
So there is alternatives. I've only tried once and it wasn't very successful. The xylitol tends to give it, you can't use exactly the same amount of sugar as you use xylitol. Xylitol definitely has got you have to use less of xylitol. And I haven't worked out exactly how much less. So I've wasted a lot of eggs trying to figure that little conundrum out. But I'd say stick with sugar. I'm sorry, I have to be one of those. The alternatives is also, there's a new sugar that's out called erythritol. And as Howard, and you know my husband, God forbid he should eat sugar. So I have used erythritol in my cheesecakes, like as in everyone has shown you the sugar, full sugar recipes tonight. Erythritol, it's a very, very expensive sugar alternative, but it is available only at Woolworths. I found it, but it isn't a very expensive alternative. But as far as meringues go, I think there's something that is chemically, they're like magnets. Eggs and sugar just work, and they just make it look right. And it's just the perfect example of how not to use an alternative. Go Decadent, it's Shavuot.
It sounds like erythritol you may need a prescription for.
Exactly. Schedule 6.
But Judy Friedman says that Nomu Sweetly is apparently a good substitute for baking sugar.
I haven't used it. I know Nomu's unbelievable. Their products are unbelievable. I just haven't seen that, so I will go and look out for it. Thank you.
And I love that she also said we went straight to higher grade. Yikes. And then someone also just asked, can you name the group, the Facebook group? Is it called the Friday Night Club?
It's called Friday Night. I'll check that. I'll look. It's called Friday Night. And it's a Facebook a Facebook group that is just sublime. It's unbelievable. All Jewish women, all sharing from challah recipes to desserts to meats, you name it. And once one starts, there's thousands and thousands of women all around the world all making the same supper.
Amazing. And then also, sorry, someone's wrote, you never spoke about the vinegar in the recipe.
Okay, sorry. So, because my kids were filming it and made it speed up. So the vinegar goes in right at the end after the sugar and the eggs have now gone quite frothy. You then add 1 teaspoon of vinegar. The teaspoon of vinegar goes in, and that vinegar does, it's a whole chemical reaction of why meringues and pavlova, they just work, because you're trying to get, you don't want to get a meringue. When you do pavlova, you don't want to get a meringue. You want it to be crispy on the outside and very, very soft and chewy on the inside. And that makes the perfect pavlova. It's slightly different to meringue. That's why there's vinegar and there's maizena.
Right. And then Howard, did you notice the whisk, Howard?
Yeah.
To get the flat.
That looked like a very industrial whisk to me. And that's why it was a higher grade recipe.
Higher grade. No, not so high grade. It's actually very, very simple. Meringues are pretty simple to make. And the pavlova, the only difference is a little bit of maizena, a little bit of vinegar changes the whole thing.
Okay. And Maxine Boyd, sorry, has said the group is called Friday Night. So just Friday night.
That's it. Thank you, Maxine.
Okay, so let's see what we fill those meringue cups with.
It's not too technical. You need a few toys, nothing serious, but you can, I will show you the alternative of what you can use. So I'm going to turn my screen down so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. Okay, can you all see? So now these nests have come up. If you can see in that, can you see at the bottom, it looks pretty crunchy inside, but very gooey on the inside. So these are my chocolate nests, that how they came out. And these are my plain white meringue that came out. The other thing is why I made those small meringues is you can also take the meringues and you can do exactly what you're doing on the inside, but just pipe it on the top and then it's a 1 bite. Okay, so I have got for you my lemon curd, which the recipe I did send to Danny, so it's there. And then here I've got something called cream cheese frosting. So I thought it was quite a Shavuot version of how we're going to get a sort of a cheesecake, but sort of not put together. So what I did with these two is I lightly combined them. So you just drizzle it through each other, and I landed up with a piping bag that has got a little bit of lemon curd and a little bit of cream cheese frosting.
Okay, and those piping bags, are those just like standard ones that you buy at the baking shop?
Standard ones that you buy at any cake store. I use the Chocolate Den. They've just got absolutely everything that you could imagine. And it's the matter of going there, asking Tony or Ilan or Debbie there, and they just become family to me. So I'm so happy to support them, and they're just amazing, amazing cake store because you can get absolutely everything.
And the nozzle as well, what size nozzle are you using? Because these are also quite, like they seem simple, but they're actually all quite a bit tricky.
So there are lots of different nozzles. I would prefer you to stay with just that circular one. It's a Wilton, it's just a plain circle. You get all different sizes, all depending on, you know, how industrial you want to go with all your meringues. The fatter gets your big pavlova, the smaller one can make you very fragile little things. So stick with like this middle one, and that's what you do. For this, I'm just using a regular star tip. I don't know if you can see. Okay, so it's going to make it look quite pretty on the inside. And we're going to take this piping bag and we're going to just basically fill the inside. So it's the type of a lemon meringue. I mean, Romi, I don't mean to spoil this, but you're going to just fill this inside. Right, that's how you do it with that. Then on top of that, we can put anything. So what I did is I cut up a few lemons and a little bit of mint. That's all you need to do just to decorate it. And that's all you basically need. That's something very fresh, and it doesn't need anything more than that. Right, that's the one. Then on the other side of the coin, this is for Howard, Decadence. We are going to do something completely different. I've whipped up some just all fat cream, wonderful cream, And all you do with the cream is that as you're whipping it, you whip it to a certain point where you can see it's thickening, and just add a little bit of caster sugar. The caster sugar sweetens the cream, like we need more calories, but nonetheless. Now this one, I've just taken the cream, I've put it into a piping bag without anything. Okay, you can do that. If you don't have a piping bag, you can use a Ziploc. And the Ziploc is as good as a piping bag. You cut the end of the corner and it's as good as a piping bag. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to take this and we are going to make a few of them because I've got different fillings that I'm going to show you. Right. So we're going to pipe inside, but we're going to pipe a little bit, okay? Then we're going to take a bit of coulis. So the coulis that Sharon was actually mentioning, all I've done is I've taken strawberries and raspberries, and I have made sure that there's a little bit of sugar in it, sorry, yes, again, and you smash it down, you pulverize it, and it becomes a coulis.
And how did you do that? Just like without?
I literally smashed it with a fork or anything that you can find, just to pulverize it. And you're going to put a little bit of coulis inside that. Then you're going to add some cream.
So sorry, Kim, just run us through that again. You smash up some strawberries and then you do what with them?
Raspberries, you smash them with a fork and you add a little bit of caster sugar, a little bit. And what happens to fruit when you, like Sharon says, when you boil it on the stove, somehow the fruit just disintegrates into watery goo. If you put it on the stove and you leave it for longer, it turns into a much more thickened version because the water obviously dissipates and it becomes this intense coulis. This time I've just done something a lot fresher. So this coulis has just basically been pulverized with some sugar and it's not as thick.
But not cooked, or did you cook it on the stove?
No, this one's not cooked, but you can cook it and get it like almost a jam. Before it turns into a jam, it becomes a thickened version of this. Okay, and you're going to take the coulis and you're going to spread it over. And the best part about it is you must let it go over the side so it looks all yummy.
As you say, it's a much fresher alternative.
Much fresher alternative. And then you can take some fresh, I found these nice new raspberries at Woolworths. Look at them. They look like albino raspberries. They do.
I've never seen
anything like that. I get so excited when I see new things. So all we're going to do is we're going to put a few strawberries on. We're going to smash the coulis. Can you see how the coulis running down the side so it looks ooey gooey and yummy?
Amazing.
Almost as good as the picture that you put on to invite everyone to come. Right. So we've got our lemon curd and cream cheese frosting. We've got our coulis. Then I'm going to make one of my favorite, which is a decadent one with chocolate. So we're going to fill it with a bit of cream, halfway, not all the way through, leave a bit of space. And then I'm going to take some Nutella. Okay. Why I use a fork is because a fork makes sure that you get that drip. I always use a fork. I don't know why, because it just works. Okay, you're going to decadently put some Nutella in the middle. And you're going to also drizzle it around. Just remember, people eat with their eyes. They don't necessarily eat with their nose as much as their eyes. Okay, so make it look decadent and push it around this edge and make it look all sticky and like people just want to dive into it. I'm then going to put a little bit of chalva, okay? Put chalva inside. Also, put chalva on the edge. Stick it to everywhere so that everyone thinks that they have got the gooeyest thing to eat. Right? I'm going to pipe a little bit more cream just to put a little bit of extra decadence. And then what I found, I don't know if everyone has seen these coconut brittle. So this coconut brittle, you just break up, you crack up, and it gives you a more crunch on the top. And then, as last year, need I say, we have our golden balls.
The golden balls are back. I would have been so disappointed if we didn't have golden balls.
I know that one's definitely mine.
The boys are back. And just to show you another little trick that I know that everyone would love to do is we take our chuckle, our regular chuckle or our whisper, and we take a glass like this, and we crack it like we do under the chuppah. Right.
Mazel tov.
As you see your crumbles, you just put on the top. Now, have you ever seen anything so decadent like that in your whole life?
It is literally smashing, but you have to tell everyone how you make your golden balls for anyone who may have missed it.
I'll show you now. I am going to show you. So as you can see now, out of the 3, I think I'm going to tuck into this one, but that's besides the point. So now,
some people already asked where the golden balls are from. See,
we are going to make the golden balls. Okay, can I go and quickly grab it?
Insane. But while we're waiting, so we have to just tell you, Kim, that your sister, Lauren Kaplan, has said hello to my beautiful creative sister watching from Westport, Connecticut, watching with so much pride.
Okay, well, that warms my heart even more. This is all the way around. I haven't seen her for so long. It's too terrible for words. But I love her and I miss her, and I'm so happy that she can be in on this deal and be with us on the Jewish Report webinar. Thank you. So now, what we do with our golden balls. So I'm actually using Sharon Lurie's Crane bottle. Recycling. Okay, I am recycling. I really am. Then, so it's something called gold dust. This is a kosher one that the Chocolate Den, thank you, Debbie Witz, she went to Israel and she bought up a storm about 3 years ago. So you must know, I use this very sparingly. And I take this little bit of gold dust. So it's called gold dust. You can buy it at the baking shops. There's no problem. And because Chuckles has got like a fat covering, it picks up this dust very, very, very well. So you take your balls of Chuckles or Whispers and you just lightly dust. And because the dust picks up all from the fat of the Chuckles, it picks it up, and I should actually have Sharon's magician logo come up, because la, and then you've got your golden balls. So there's gold dust, there is rose gold dust, there's silver dust. It is quite expensive, but it definitely gives you the ooh la la snappy number. So that's how it happens. So that's what we have for Shavuot. I think I'm going to have to go and deliver it to you just so that you got a little bit of a sweet treat later, Howie.
Maybe, Kim, but there's so many questions that you have to answer. Can we go through some of the questions?
Yes, go for it.
What temperature did you bake the what you call those bottom meringue things?
Okay, so obviously you've got to be very happy with your oven and know your oven temperatures. But basically with meringues or pavlovas, you have to do a bit of shock therapy. So when you start your baking and whisking of all the egg whites, you put your oven on quite high to about 180. That's what I do. Quite high. And then when you are finished with piping it and getting onto the baking tray, before it goes in, as you put it in, you turn it down to 125. So it gives the egg whites a bit of a shock, and they go quite crispy quite quickly. And because the oven temperature then takes about 10 minutes to drop down, the inside then doesn't get as crispy. It's a standard operation with meringues or pavlova, and with the vinegar and the maizena, the pavlova still remains inside quite crispy and crunchy and decadent on the inside, where meringues will go quite hard. So it's in the recipe. I've actually sent it. It's inside the recipe.
Fantastic. And anyone who registered tonight will email out the recipes to everyone who's registered. And a question, did you melt the Nutella?
I did. So when you take, I also do it with Biscoff, with the lotus, the lotus that you all know about.
Lotus bread, yeah.
I went and stocked up in Israel, came back with 900 kilos of it. So I've got it all stocked up. So you do it with lotus or Nutellas. You don't need more than a tablespoon. Put it into a microwavable item and put it in, do it in pulses, 10 seconds at a time, because if you overdo it, you're going to burn the Nutella. So because your microwave, you also need to know the temperatures of it. 10 seconds at a time. You can always go put it back in to make it, and it actually becomes quite liquid and quite easy to work with.
And can you use other chocolate besides Nutella?
Well, you can use the deli nutter. So if you want to make it pareve and you don't want to make it milk, you can use the deli nutter that's actually available, and it's pareve. It also, instead of using the cream, we use olive oil. If you want to do a crunch, that peanut brittle is pareve, so you can also do that just on top, plus the chalva, all available, all pareve. So there is a pareve alternative. No sugar alternative, but pareve alternative.
So someone's asked what else you can use instead of caster sugar for your, I'm assuming it's with a coulis.
You know what? Caster sugar is the best option because sugar takes a little bit longer to dissolve. So caster sugar is just like the speed date.
Kim, I'm getting all of these offers of people wanting to join me for dinner when all the food arrives.
And we all supply the dinner. You just host the people. You can get the COVID. I'm over it. Okay.
Okay, yeah. And Mandy Hurwitz says, Kimmy the Pavlova looks amazing. Your cousin Mandy from Boca Raton, Florida is watching. Missing you, sending love.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, my word. Hello, man. Oh, that's so nice.
Like the whole familia on tonight.
Listen, I had to put in the good parts of my family in order to get some viewership for myself at this time of night.
So Judy Freeman says, I'm not sure if we get kosher dust in Cape Town. So talk us through, first of all, in Johannesburg, where you buy things, because I was in Edenvale not so long ago and I discovered this unbelievable shop just down the stairs. I didn't know that world existed. Tell us about that.
She was talking about it. It's dangerous in there. I warn you, it's dangerous.
That's the abyss for me. My husband knows when I walk down those stairs, I'm going into my own world. So it is Tony Burren's like emporium. I don't even know what to call it. The Chocolate Den in Dower Glen or Glendower, Dower Glen. It is just the best store. It's got absolutely everything. They are very industrial, so they basically collect and got everything from the chocolate side to the baking side to the decorating side to boxes and boards and you name it, fondants, you name it, they've got it all. And the nice part is it's Jewish owned, so they know the tachlis of what we need and what we need to do in order to keep it a kosher product. So wherever they can, whenever they did, which obviously I've collected over time, so you've got to know when I see something kosher, I buy lots of it. So over time, they did collect a few things for me, so I have got it. The dust in Cape Town, I'm not quite sure where to get it, but at this stage, I think that you'll have to either order it online from Israel or somewhere else. I don't know where else you can get the dust.
So just a recommendation as well, on a Sunday morning, Tony Burren from the Chocolate Den on Facebook often does a recipe and she bakes on Facebook as well. And it's so entertaining to watch as well that I really recommend it to absolutely everyone. But if you do bake, if you haven't been to the Chocolate Den, go and experience that. For me, it was like when I walked into Builder's Warehouse for the first time and I felt I had so many things to play with. And that's exactly what you'll find in Dower Glen if you go to the Chocolate Den.
Exactly.
I'm not sure about you at Builders, but...
One thing about decorating cakes and decorating boards and toys like that, if you've got the toys, it makes you a better decorator, baker, otherwise. When you don't have the toys and you try and wing it with all sorts of equipment in your home, if you go there, be warned, the toys are available. It's like the Toys R Us for bakers. It is just a phenomenal store. So go and give it a try. Just now, I have
come with a safety warning.
So Kim, there's also a question about your lemon curd. Just talk us through your recipe for the lemon curd.
So it is also on the screen. The lemon curd is basically a custard, okay? It's actually very similar to what Romi did to a degree, only I don't have the condensed milk. So it is lemon juice, obviously, sugar. It is, God, now you're making me think, it's egg yolks. I keep my egg whites because I'm always using egg whites. And it is, oh my word, what's the other thing that I use? I can't think. It's on the recipe. And basically you just put it on the pot. Oh, butter. So it's butter. You melt your butter, you put in your sugar, you put in your lemon juice and your egg yolks finally. And then what happens is you've got to cook it. It's very important with lemon curd. is you've got to cook it at a very, very, very low temperature, because if you cook it too high, you're going to get scrambled eggs with a bit of lemon in it, and it's quite sweet. So keep your temperature very low so that your lemon curd binds up with the butter and it doesn't cook your eggs. It doesn't froth your eggs. If you find that some of the eggs have started to cook a little bit, there might be a few like flakes. You take a strainer. I'm sure you've watched them all the cooking shows, is they're always working with strainers and they're straining custard all the time. Because just in case there's a little bit of egg yolk that's managed to curdle and become hard, you put it through the strainer and you've got a magnificent lemon curd.
And someone also asked about your cream cheese frosting. Sorry. Okay,
so I'm going to put that online. So it's Peggy Portions. Has anyone been to London to Peggy Portions? Okay, she's a famous, famous cake decorator. And she's got this magnificent little store. Go and look her up, Peggy Portion. I swear I'm getting the book. Wait.
We like to have the resources ready to go. I'm writing it down.
So this is Peggy Portion. So Peggy Portion is a very famous, I think she's Austrian or she's Belgian, and she in London, she's got the most magnificent store you've ever seen in your whole life. It's got all flowers and bicycles outside in pink and white. It's like a little girl's treasure trove of a high tea. It's just sensational, expensive, magnificent, and a treat. So that's where I get her my cream cheese frosting from. And it's basically 250 grams of cream cheese, and it must be the stiff cream cheese. Don't get smooth cottage cheese. It's got to be cream cheese, like Sharon showed you. It's the most expensive, but that's what it is. It is butter, the same amount, 250 grams of butter. And then you've got icing sugar, which is 625 grams. And work with the grams because that's the accurate amount you need. You can keep cream cheese frosting for a year if you have to. You can actually even freeze it, and then when you take it out, it's perfect. So if you make a big lot and you want to make a carrot cake, that's the cream cheese frosting that I use. You put it in and it's just decadent and delicious, and it just works.
Kim, if we want to follow you on Instagram, give us your Instagram handle as well. You do this professionally. People can buy cakes from you and see the most remarkable, bizarre, obscure, but spectacular cakes that they've ever seen.
Thank you, Howard. It's called The Koeksister 68, one word.
Exactly. And so there's one last question. Sorry, someone asked, do you freeze your egg whites?
You can freeze the egg whites, you can. I don't, but you can. I believe that egg whites, and you can speak to Sharon Glass in it. She's my guru. From a little girl, I used to go to Sharon to get cooking lessons. You always have your egg whites at room temperature. So even if you do freeze them, you've got to de-thaw them that they are room temperature. And generally, egg whites are good to freeze. They're absolutely perfect to freeze. But for like scrambled eggs, that sort of thing, for baking, I would come straight from the shell.
Dina, we've got about 2 minutes left. Let's see if we can get Sharon and Lauren and Romi and even Danny to turn on their cameras. And if you have any last questions that you'd like to ask any of our chefs, this would be a fantastic last opportunity to be able to do it. Lauren Boolkin, that was by far the best salmon I have ever eaten in my entire life.
Such a pleasure.
Thank
you.
And Romi, Justine Seif says, Rome, you are simply sensational. So proud.
Thank you.
I think she just wants to make sure she's included in the next group of 60 people you have for Shabbos dinner.
She's one of the three that I have, my beautiful sister.
Wonderful. So, Danny Kedar, you've looked at all of that. What's your favorite?
So that cheesecake looked deliciously evil. I definitely would like to suggest that. But, you know, definitely the salmon. I'm a salmon man. What can I tell you? So I was really hoping you had some left over, but I see that I was unlucky.
All gone.
Oh, Danny,
and I can testify, I have eaten at Romi's house. So yes, I am chalishing also for a re-invitation with that.
I loved having you at my house.
Thanks.
I miss you.
Thanks.
Yeah. And How and Dean and everyone, this is my egg separator.
Just explain how that works.
Okay, so here is my glass. Can you see?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So you put this on top of your glass. Can you see here? You crack your egg on this little thing, and then you pour it in here, and it keeps the yolk, and then the white goes into your glass. And this is really, I use this every time I cook or bake. It's amazing. I think.
So where do we get that?
You know, I've had it for so many years, but I think at the kitchen shops.
Yeah, I think Kitchenique sell it.
Yeah, Kitchenique, Chefs and Asses. I think this is from Woolies. I think I once got this one at Woolies.
Did you say ISIS? ISIS had that.
Huh?
Did you say ISIS?
Oh, Chefs and Asses.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it's for the head of the egg.
In Santon.
Well, Dina, we weren't sure tonight that we would get through the entire webinar without you giving birth, because you're due when?
So yeah, within let's call it the next 2 weeks.
So
luckily the food took precedence, and it was a fast Twitter episode.
So let us talk about what we're doing over the next few days in webinars. So the next webinar we're having is tomorrow night, and we're going to be talking about international travel. Danny, you're going to put up on the screen if you haven't registered, and if you want to know how to get into the United States or Israel or Australia or Canada, or if you're stuck or have family stuck somewhere in the world trying to get back to South Africa, then please join us tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. as we talk about international travel and are we in fact prisoners in South Africa? So that's going to be fascinating. On the 13th, we actually have a webinar coming up. We haven't sent out any details yet, but it's going to be called Wake and Bake, because we've been inspired by the baking tonight, but we're going to be talking about weed and psychedelics. So if you're interested in marijuana, medical marijuana, magic mushrooms, ketamine, ayahuasca, or any of those things, we're going to be talking about what's legal, what's not legal, how's it being used for medicinal and psychiatric and psychological purposes, how's it being recreational. So our baking continues from this baking show to Wake and Bake on Thursday. Kim, are you joining?
Kim's got what I have done. I'm not even joking with you. Sounds ridiculous, but I actually did look into doing a sideline hustle of doing the Koeksister, making brownies, those brownies. Anyway, after looking into it, I promise you, I'm not joking with you. It's a bit of a hassle. I'm not joking. So you have to take the weed as it stands, like as the dried version is. And you have to put in water, in boiling water, and it's got to sit overnight. And that boiling water infuses the marijuana, and that's actually what you use. The what's the word? Like the watered liquid form of it is what goes into the brownie. It's not necessarily the actual leaf. It's what comes out of the leaf is what makes it. Now,
so the extract, you say, Kimmy?
The extract, but in order for the plant to release the THC, which is the psychoactive ingredient, it has to get up to, I think, 98 degrees or something. So people also fry it in butter and then strain it and use the butter.
That's it. So now that weed, that if you take a liter of it, you need maybe 5 milliliters of water to put into the brownie to make huge batches. It's actually very lethal and it's quite potent. It can send you tripping just in the kitchen, having the weed boiling. Can you imagine my family? They'll all be walking around happy people.
Never mind your hair up.
So Kim, let me just warn you that while you can grow it for your own use and consumption, it is illegal for you to sell it.
Okay. And even the water.
Even the water, especially the water.
Okay,
so,
I won't be attempting it. I just looked into it.
And so that will be on the 13th. We're going to do Wake and Bake. And then, Dina, we're going to try to do weight loss.
We are going to try that. Again, I'm hoping I'll be present. If not, we do have a backup, but we are going to try and look at your genetics, your dietetics. So not just like don't eat carbs and sugar, which this show is absolutely all about because we like to indulge. And we're allowed to. The guys, it's an 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time you can be healthy and 20% you absolutely have to indulge. But we will be looking at genetics, dietetics, and going deeper into sort of your blood type and what actually is probably the right plan for you, because everyone is different. So that's going to be quite interesting.
So we have a few questions. One is, will the chocolate den actually ship our gold dust? We're not entirely sure, but you can speak to Tony. And I've just put onto the website, the chocolate den's, onto the chat, the chocolate den's website. Go on, speak to Tony Byrne. She's absolutely amazing. For her sins, she's married to Jonathan Byrne, which everyone watching must know. But speak to Tony, and I'm sure she'll ship you whatever you want, whenever. And Cindy Herring says, this has been the best webinar ever.
And she's watched all of them.
So we're going to end off. We'll see you again tomorrow evening for our international travel one. If you still would like to join the South African Jewish Report's patron campaign, we're going to give you one last opportunity if you haven't yet to do it. And a reminder that you will get this cooking book cooked absolutely free if you join as a patron tonight of the South African Jewish Report. It has some of the best chefs in South Africa sharing some of the most amazing recipes. So Danny, if you could play us out, please, with our patron campaign video and a poll. If you'd like to get a free copy of the book by joining the South African Jewish Report patron campaign, please do so. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow evening at 1:00. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you to our wonderful chefs. You're all amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, Deans. Bye.
you.